I got an article for Space Marines. That's some bad news. And I got an article for Space Marine. That's some good news. Now, I'm not looking at the screen, so I don't know which one is which. I hope this is the good news first. But either way, we're going to get to the good news. Let's see. Space Marine 2 releases big new update for October 12th. Okay, this is the good news first. Okay, so good news. Space Marine released some new content and their latest update. And there's another stop on the roadmap they showed that I read like last month or a couple months ago, something like that. We are now in patch 4.0, aka patch 4 for Space Marines 2, and it added new content to the game, including a new operations map, making that 7, I believe, a new difficulty, that being lethal, and a photo mode. I mean, the photo mode is cool, but I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of beautiful scenes in Warhammer Space Marines that I wouldn't mind putting on a wall or something like that. Like, Space Marine seems like a good game to where you could get like a 15-second loop of gameplay of like the background of the Tyranids running out with your Space Marine stand and looking into the distance, and you put that on one of those video picture frames and just let it loop for a long time. Like, to me, if I see some space, like a Space Marine picture, I want to see it in action, in movement. That just looks cooler to me for Space Marines specifically. But yeah, balancing tweaks and improvements were also made to perks, melee weapons, and game mechanics. Updates focus on fresh content, gameplay enhancements, and lore accurate customization options. Now that's the good part of this update. They added a lot of stuff that they said they were going to add that was on their roadmap, that they were upfront about. And they added some cool things like a new operations map and adding the last difficulty that they said they needed to tweak and adjust so that it would be best. And a photo mode for whoever the fuck asked. All good things. Now, sadly, because I gotta be fair, I don't care how good a game is, I don't care how much I love a game, I don't care how biased I am towards a game. Every game that drops up, that does something that's not player friendly, I gotta talk about it. It is what it is. I gotta rag on it. I don't care who you are. You do something fucked up, I'ma say it. Warhammer 40k Space Marines 2 players are up in arms over bullshit nerfs. Have you learned nothing from Helldivers 2? Now, I don't know who the fuck this quote is from, so whatever. And I don't know what was or wasn't nerfed, because I did play yesterday, and I was playing for like an hour, and I saw the pop-up for the update, and I just skipped past that. I didn't even think to read it, which is kind of cool, because now I can get my live raw reaction, but I didn't even think to read it. But now we're gonna basically read it. Fuck those paragraphs. All right, what were the changes? Melee archetypes. Fencing weapons perfect parry window will now have the same duration as balanced weapons, but it will start from the first frame of the parry animation. That sounds good. It sounds like they made the parrying easier, because the parrying in this game was already easy, but it sounds like they're making it even easier. Melee perks. Chainsword, all the melee weapons, changed attack perks, get significant damage increase. That sounds like a buff. What the fuck? Bonus damage on bosses is reduced. Okay. That, I don't know why they're nerfing anything for the PvE modes. That don't sound fun. Melter charge damage to bosses is reduced by 70. Nah, bro, 70? I don't know what it was before, because I want to beat the story and co-op before I touch the Tyranid scum killing mode, but 70? Nah, this shit, if this shit wasn't one tapping bosses, 70 is fucking nuts. What they need to buff is that goddamn, is the stun on the grapple for vanguards and PvP, because in PvP it be times where somebody's shooting at me and I grapple them and zip over, and while I'm in midair zipping over to them, they're just like, and it's like, damn, can I get, can like, the grapple's supposed to get a stun, can the motherfucker be stunned? Why are they still allowed to shoot at me even though they're like this, having a hard time pulling the trigger? Goddamn PCP posture out this bitch. Like, damn, let a brother shoot. Jeez. Scam bonus damage on bosses is now reduced by 30. Oh wait, I read that. Enemy spawn director PvE. They tweaked idle spawns. This one I think is more of a glitch fix, because I heard a lot of people, and even in my playthrough, I saw like a lot of the ranged units were spawning behind walls and stuff like that. Here you go, crying for no reason again. Where's my water now? Wait, 1 second. Where's my water? Here you go, following me. I'm looking for agua. Joe trying to baby some agua. I don't know where I put my water. I legitimately don't. I know I brought it in the room. Cause I'm not one of those dry organ niggas. Oh, here we go. Who's behind the shit? Now please go back over there. Go back over there. Every other time you want to sit under here when it's the worst possible time. But now I need you to sit under there. You don't want to. That's not fun. But yeah, this sounds more like a glitch fix. Enemy variety within waves is now less random, while enemy variety between waves is bigger. I don't see that as a nerf or a buff. I just see that as a change. And it sounds like a good change, but like I said, keep in mind, I have not played that mode that they're talking about. The PvE mode, the Tyrannid Scum Extinction mode, I have not played it. Extremist enemies can now spawn with additional enemies. I think that's the big dudes. I don't mind it. Ruthless ammo crates have limited refills per player. That's a big nerf. Player's armor is reduced by 20. What the fuck? Substantial. Player's armor reduced by 10%. Okay, that don't sound fun. Okay, these don't sound like crazy nerfs. Oh wait, hold up. I see something that says it's worth highlighting. It's worth highlighting the change to fencing weapons, perfect parry window. Space Marine's combat is 2 is all about well-timed perfect parries. Indeed, they're essential for success on the harder PvE difficulties because they let you follow up with a high damage shot from your pistol. You said a whole bunch of nothing sandwich. Fencing weapons, hey yo, that sounds wild. Fencing weapons were by far the most popular weapon type in the game due to their more generous perfect parry window compared to the balanced weapon type. Block weapons can't perfect parry. Okay, that makes sense. But update it's like 3 fucking no. Hammer, chainsword, combat knife, and fist. Yeah, it's 4 fucking weapons in the game. Why are they talking like it's a whole? Why are they talking like it's 20 different kinds of melee weapons in the game? Like, geez. Whatever. This is just them going more into detail, talking about frame data. Okay, let's read. I seen quotes somewhere. Okay. Thanks for the nerfs in my PvE power fantasy game, said no one ever. Which is a fact. Oh wait, I see another quote up here. The backlash has been aggressive and swift. The official Space Marines Discord is packed with complaints, as is the Space Marine Reddit. Stop the nerf, give us fun, declared that user. Haven't you learned from Helldivers 2's experience? Nerf player equals negative reaction, which is a fact. In my PvE game, don't nerf anything. It's supposed to be a power fantasy. How am I supposed to have a power fantasy if you're taking away the power I have? Thanks for the nerfs in my PvE power fantasy game, said no one ever, said a clearly disgruntled Reddit user. What's with all the BS nerfs? Added another disgruntled Reddit user. Extremely disappointing to see this game going the way of Helldive. Alright, bro. Re-fucking-lax. The game's been out for a month. Helldiver's been out for most of the goddamn year. Relax. Hope they do proper balancing and not this lazy nerf shit. Which I agree with. The mention of Helldivers 2 is of course a reference to blah blah blah. We know what happened with that. Will Space Marines 2 end up stumbling down the same path? Hopefully not. But hindsight is 2020, right? There are early signs players may review bomb the game to voice their displeasure. Excuse me. Out of the nerfs I read, except the plasma one, I don't think it was anything too wild. It was a couple nerfs, even though like in a PvE game, I think there should never be nerfs. You're better off buffing the bosses rather than nerfing the players because this is what happens. But I don't see anything that crazy. Feel free to go in the comments and let me know if I'm wrong. Because contrary to popular belief, I prefer to be wrong rather than right. Because if I say something aloud that's wrong as fuck and somebody corrects me, I now just learned something and learned what's correct instead of walking around with this wrong ass belief. So feel free to correct me, but I don't think any of these, I think niggas might be overreacting a little bit. Now, when I say overreacting, I don't mean like your concerns are meaningless and you're talking out your ass. I mean that it sounds like y'all are ready to give full-fledged, nah, they said fuck you to me out of the gate. It's like, chill. They just changed a couple things. They not only have time to revert it back, number one. Number two, they didn't do anything that crazy. Relax. It's not like Helldivers where for 3-4 patches straight, they was nerfing shit. That's a bit different. This is a couple small nerfs on one update. They didn't nerf everything across the board like they did in Helldivers. Like in Helldivers, if it was 20 changes, 18 of them shits was nerfs, and 2 of them bitches, 17 of them was nerf, 2 of them was glitch fixes, and 1 of them was just a buff. But to the enemies, making the enemies harder. I don't know, man. Seems like they're over-exaggerating. On Steam, Space Marine's user review rating remains very positive, but at the time of this article's publication, and probably this video, 181 new negative reviews were left so far today, October 17th, which is the same day of this recording. That number, many more than is useful for a single day, seems likely to grow. Hopefully not, because it's only been one patch, guys. Helldivers, for several patches straight, back to back, they nerf shit over like 3 months. Helldivers went through at least 3 months of nerfing. This is one fucking patch with 2 nerfs, gang. Relax. Relax. This also affects some of the PvP stuff, if I'm not mistaken. Like I said, y'all, feel free to correct me in the comments if I'm ever wrong. I love to be corrected. Feel free, but I think y'all niggas is bucking. Y'all niggas is on dick right now. That's the best way I can say it. Right now, y'all on dick. Like, what y'all doing is y'all trying to preemptively say fuck you when all they did was make a couple changes. That being said, my fellow Warhammer brethren, whether you are a heretic to the great, powerful, almighty, never wrong emperor or not, calm the fuck down, bro. It's not that serious yet. We're not at Helldivers 2 territory yet. Oh, this one? These next two are, oh wait, or is this the article? Need to compete. Oh, no. These 2 articles, I pulled up so that I can see the quote. Is this the quote? Okay, no, this is some Eurogamer shit. Where's the quote? Where's the quote? That's all I care about. Okay, pause. Don't give a fuck. Today, the entry cost for making a AAA game is in the triple-digit millions now, which is correct, but I also think, number one, not every game has to be a AAA game. That's number one. Number two, even if it is a AAA game, some of the features and some of the shit y'all be adding in the game be useless features that nobody uses, that no fucking body asks for. Number three, stop trying to add in all these features and releasing a broken game and just going, we'll just patch it. We'll be okay. We'll just patch it. Really focus on releasing a game with necessary features that work. Okay? Not every game has to be no, go back under. 1 second, y'all. Go back under. Thank you. Down. You're too rowdy today. No, stop trying to be slick. You're not sniffing at nothing. Down. Walk around in a circle all you want, as long as you end up going down at the end. Pause. Good boy. All right. There's some games that have large budgets where I go and I play the game and I'm sitting there with my arms crossed while I'm playing the game like, where the fuck did the budget go, bro? Like, they spent 20 million on this. Like, they spent 200 million on this game. This game feels like it's really worth 20 million. Now, I understand that $1 million for a game that I played growing up in 2010 on a 360 over time has inflated to be a higher price, not only due to more expensive game development costs and bigger games, also due to the fact that inflation of like the value of a dollar itself exists. Yes, while that statement is true, that only applies to some studios. A lot of these studios don't need to be making AAA games. We need more AA middle of the road games that are okay. There's a lot of game, cause like imagine putting forth all this work to make a AAA game just to make a game that everybody puts on their list of it's a good game when you ain't got a bitch in your ear telling you everything wrong with it. A lot of games end up being that, but at the end of the day, I say as long as the game is good, it doesn't matter. But I'm not everybody. Some people want an experience that is not only good, but that they could get 100 billion trillion hours out of. I personally don't agree with that. Not every experience needs to be 100 billion trillion hours. There's a lot of times where I see, especially like everybody's favorite example is Ubisoft. I'm gonna use Ubisoft. They're making a game that is 30 hours long to 100%, and then they put take what could be 2 or 3 missions and they make it 5 missions where most of the mission is you doing this shit. This is top tier Ubisoft gameplay. Pretend there's somebody walking in front of me. That's half the fucking game. Either that or you shooting at tons and tons and tons of fucking tons of mobs that like you shoot at so long you start falling asleep like I'm just shooting and shooting, or I'm just fighting and fighting, and these niggas die and like 8 more come out the cut. It's like, oh my god, when is it gonna end? Like damn, these niggas ain't see their mans die and go, I ain't getting paid enough for this. Like all of these motherfuckers is brave. Like damn, you ain't got no wife and kids to go home to. Get the like damn. Y'all throwing more mobs, and then on top of that, all the mobs look the same. Like damn, some of you niggas don't want to go home tonight. Is the posthumous pension that good? Jesus fucking Christ! It's like a lot of these games now have a lot of padding. So they be spending time and money putting extra shit in the game that don't need to be there. So they be spending up a lot of money doing shit that's just unnecessary and ends up being unfun. So I agree with this. The entry cost is very high, but a lot of these studios be going over that and then be mad when they find it hard to recuperate. You niggas be making games, that's worth $1 million sales, that $1 million worth of sales, and then get mad when you only get $1 million worth of sales. Oh man, this shit should be 30, should get 30 million. No, it shouldn't. Your shit's a 6 out of 10, my nigga. I think naturally risk tolerance drops. That is true. That's why in the industry we're seeing a lot more games get infinite sequels. The best example again, going back to Ubisoft, Assassin's Creed. Like there's like 6 Assassin's Creed games out of like the 10 that shouldn't even be Assassin's Creed games. They should be original games of their own IP, but Ubisoft is so scared to put anything other than Assassin's Creed on the front of a game because they're going broke constantly, just like a lot of these studios are constantly operating in debt. It's like, yo, we can't afford to lose money on shit. We need profit, growth. We need to milk. So that's what he's saying, and that's what is one of the downsides of risk tolerance. Less new IPs, cause why be Ubisoft and make a new Viking game and implement a couple elements or a couple common design cues from a previous game to let people know that it has that Ubisoft flair, that Ubisoft flavor? Why do that when instead we could just put Templars and Apple of Eden in there, make a whole original game, throw some Templars in there, throw an Apple of Eden in there, name the game, and then just put Assassin's Creed before the name of the game. Whatever money the game was gonna get, we can add on to that with the people who's gonna buy it and play it just because it says Assassin's Creed on the front. It's like, bro, you can't keep getting away with this. But at the end of the day, it's a business. They don't give a fuck if you like the game or not. They only give a fuck if you buying it. And you're looking at sequels, you're looking at copycats because the finance guy who draws the line says, well, if this is a... I love that this executive is bringing it up because I've been saying this shit for like the past year and change. all the way back to when I was playing Avengers. I've been saying this shit, and even before that. Because the finance guy who draw the line says, well, if Fortnite made this much money in this amount of time, my Fortnite knockoff can make this in that amount of time. We're seeing a collapse of creativity in games with studio consolidation and the high cost of production. What have I been saying for the longest? A lot of these studios are making games and they're making great original unique ideas. Then there's some big wig looking over their shoulder saying, that looks cool, but click clack, make it a Fortnite. I've been saying this forever. And you know why the reason Fortnite popped off? Even though Fortnite wasn't the most original ideas, it did things that made it completely, well, not completely, but made it like 90% different from PUBG. Because like in the beginning, if you remember, in the beginning, people was calling Fortnite PUBG, but the answer, PUBG, but make it different. Like, you remember that meme? Copy my answers, but make it sound a little bit different? That's what a lot of people were originally saying Fortnite was. They were saying Fortnite was the same thing as PUBG, but a little bit different. But look at the cultural now. Most people who play games play Fortnite, not PUBG. PUBG was popular first, and it was way more popular than Fortnite when it came out. 2020 hit, PUBG and Fortnite was neck and neck. PUBG was a little bit over, but they were neck and neck. They were both growing. PUBG started to stagnate as far as like the Western gaming market and the Eastern mobile gaming market. Oh, PUBG's up here. PUBG Mobile is played like a motherfucker. But regular PUBG, desktop and Western gaming sphere, it kind of plateaued. Fortnite said, and that bitch went up like a Super Saiyan, like a power level when somebody turned Super Saiyan. And it became immensely popular. Why? Because it did something different from PUBG, so it was actually a viable competitor to not only PUBG, but every other game on the market. Further, Layden stated, AA is gone, which I agree, which he described as a threat to the ecosystem. I've been saying this. Whenever game studios are only encouraged to make live service games that never fucking die and sequel after sequel after sequel, gaming gets less fun and less people want to buy your games because they already know what they're gonna get before they buy the game. When it comes to games and gaming, you never want people to know exactly what you're going to give them. It's no problem with them having an idea and being familiar with your product and your style, but they shouldn't know everything in the game before they get the game. It shouldn't be the same essay in a different font plus one of the font size. No, we don't want that. We don't want that. And they get pushed back on that shit every time, and they have to fight for their fucking life every time they drop this stuff. Nothing the general standard of games, including indie titles, is much higher thanks to advancements of tools. If he's saying what I think he's saying that like the general standard of game. Oh yeah, not nothing noting. Yeah, there's a reason why, like I said, last year, Lethal Company, it was either last year or this year. I don't remember. Whichever year Modern Warfare 3 came out, Lethal Company was greatly outselling, Call of Duty. Why was more people buying Lethal Company than Call of Duty? Because Call of Duty has been the same fucking game since like Black Ops 3. After Black Ops 3, Call of Duty started releasing the same shit over and over. And when they did release something that wasn't another futuristic Call of Duty hyper jump game, they released a fucking World War II game. It's like, oh my god. Or they remade Modern Warfare, and I'm talking about Vanguard 2, where it's just like another it's more the same. It's like, bro, I'm not impressed. I played this game 10 years ago. I don't want to play this shit no more. I'm tired, bro. I'm tired. That's why I'm happy for Black Ops 6. It's something actually different. Which, to note Black Ops 6, it's another part of what he's saying. It's another fucking sequel that they know is safe. Because out of all the Call of Duty studios, what do all Call of Duty fans say? Out of all three of the Call of Duty studios, when the other two drop, those are just, you know, supplementary games so that Activision don't go broke. But when Treyarch drops, Call of Duty fans stop, because we know we about to get some actual fucking quality. But yeah, to go back on, yeah, indie games, they're not held down and they're not bogged down by expectations, and they don't have debt holding a gun to their head saying, I need to be paid. Pay attention to me. Pay attention to me. They don't have a metaphorical debt person just taking a gun and rubbing it around the inside of their throat saying, you're gonna pay attention to me, bitch. You feel your pockets hurting? Oh, at first you was sleeping under your desk because you was a passionate dev. Now you're sleeping under your desk because the game isn't done and you really need to release something now. Ooh, you like the feeling of that cold steel on the inside of your throat? Ooh. They don't have that, so they don't have to worry about that. That's why there's a lot of indie titles breaking out. Also, streaming has changed like the way that games getting promoted. For example, a bullshit terrible ass game like Only Up or like Chained Together can become mainstream because of streamers that sit on camera and yell in a fucking camera for 15 fucking hours straight. Is much higher thanks to the advancement in tools, he continued. Now, if we can just get a bit more interest and excitement and exposure for these lower budget but super creative and super unusual type of games, I'd like to see more of that. Yes, a lot of us gamers, we don't buy Call of Duty over and over. I won't say a lot of us gamers, but a lot of the average gamer, because keep in mind, if you're watching this video, is more than likely you're a more hardcore type of gamer. Even if you haven't been playing games for a long time, let's say you're a younger hardcore gamer, you are willing to go back and play older great games. You're willing to play more experimental games. You're willing to play something other than just 2K Call of Duty. Even if you play 2K COD, that's fine, but you're willing to step out of that and experiment and play something a little bit different. Maybe you play a puzzle game here and there. Maybe you play an indie game, so on. So I mean indie game as in one of those fucking penguin in the forest and you're talking to floating deer ankles or some shit about the meaning of life. You're willing to play something different. But for the average person who plays video games, all they know is Call of Duty. All they know is 2K. And they're not seeing any of the new innovative games that are coming out. That doesn't mean they don't exist. I'm just saying they don't see it. The marketing that they see doesn't include these new innovative games. It include, oh my dumbass. I need to take that. I need to go over this playlist again too. But they're not seeing a lot of these more creative and more cool kinds of games because these indie developers don't have the marketing budget. So within people who are in marketing, who are in gaming media, then go over there then. A lot of people who are in gaming media and keep up with gaming news and stuff like that will see it as long as it's good, because it'll get recommended by word of mouth from people like me. But the average gamer, they're not seeing it unless it's an ad on YouTube. They're not seeing it unless it's on a billboard while they're driving to work every day, or unless it's got constant ads on TikTok and Twitter while they're scrolling up and down their For You page. Where was I? But super creative, unusual type of games. I'd like to see more of that. If we're just going to rely, you shouldn't start a sentence off of because, but I understand it's a quote. If we're just going to rely on blockbusters to get us through, I think that's a death sentence, which is true. But again, the average gamer does not keep up with gaming media and gaming news. The average person who plays video games does not know what the fuck Warhammer Space Marine 40K Space Marines 2 is. They've never heard of that goddamn game. You know what they have heard of? Call of Duty Black Ops 6. That game mode that was really fucking cool, but is inside, it could be its own game, but it's inside NBA 2K because they're so scared to make it its separate game that it will probably flop despite being a cool idea. We won't ever see shit like that be its own game anymore if, like he said, we depend, but the average gamer has to look for this shit in order to see it. What I think needs to happen is a lot more of these smaller studios need to realize that marketing, like mainstream marketing, matters. It really, really matters. And I'm not just talking about having certain streamers and stuff like that play your game. I'm talking about like I said, ads on Twitter, billboards, ads on TikTok. Now I know a lot of that stuff is expensive, and that's why some of them don't use it. I'm not naive, I'm not stupid, but I'm just stating facts. If a lot more of these indie developers can get to the point to where they can do stuff like that, oh my god, it's golden. Y'all should also take a shot of water. AAA games can bring the new thing and can be developed far quicker than AA games, which is a fucking fact, which is crazy, because they want to pump out more games in a shorter span of time, which could be AA games, middle of the road, 6 out of 10 games, or games that they think are going to be middle of the road, 6 out of 10. They release it, the game goes fucking crazy and makes more than is expected. A lot more of these studios need to focus on core gameplay experiences and focus on what people actually want to play instead of what they can just slap off on the people. Because if you make games that people want to play, it doesn't matter if it's original IP. People are going to want to get into it. If you're going to pitch me your AA game and then the first 2 pages of your deck is your monetization and revenue subscription scheme, I'm out. I would agree. Because at that point, you're just making a digital slot machine. Your first page has to be, this game needs to be made and here's why. Yes, I also agree. There's a lot of games out here that just exist because people will buy it, not because it's necessary. Again, I will always bring up Odyssey and Black Flag. Those are 2 Assassin's Creed games where I agree. Both of those games are good games. They're not bad games. As games, as Assassin's Creed games, they're not good. What the fuck is Sneaky Assassin about being a big ass Viking that runs around with this cool axe and chops people's head off in a battlefield with like 15 other people standing right behind him while he's in the middle of this battlefield fucking playing on some, what's the name of that damn series they did, Zelda and stuff like that, where you're just fighting mobs of people, like you're fighting mobs of people at a time. Damn, I'm drawing a blank, but yeah, that's basically what Assassin's Creed Odyssey is. It's a good game. It's just bogged down by the fact that they had to make it Assassin's Creed yet again. I want to see that fire. I don't want to see, here's the chief accountant on the team that's going to explain to you the game's monetization. Well, to be fair, a lot of these bigwigs only want to hear about the monetization. So if they lead with that, you can't really be mad at them. All you can really do is say, okay, that's cool, but why would I ever want to play this game? Artificial intelligence has been in gaming since almost the first or second games ever made, which is one thing I always do say about AI. A lot of people who are like pro or negative AI don't realize they've been using AI for more than the last 20 years. A lot of like ChatGPT is a recent invention and has helped with the mainstreamness or the mainstream, I'm drawing a blank on the word, but basically making it so that the average Jimmy Joe John walking the street knows what the fuck AI image generation and ChatGPT is. That's what it done. But bro, artificial intelligence has been around and been popular in like the technology communities since like the 90s came. And they're saying since the first games ever, technically yes, but those you could technically call like input output machines. I'll argue until like about the 90s, it wasn't like really AI in the way that like people think of when they think of AI, in terms of like, besides people who think AI think ChatGPT. But yeah, I would agree. AI has been in games for a very, very long time. So all this excitement about generative AI, I find kind of humorous. Me as well, because as I've been explaining for the longest time, generative AI is a hammer. Generative AI is a hammer that's used to put a nail in place. A lot of people don't know how to use new technological tools when they get them. That will always be the case, because as I keep saying on this stream, and I'm gonna repeat it every time it needs to be said, please remember, because I had to learn this the hard way. Please remember. Oh, why? Please, oh, you hear them talking, that's why. Please remember, the average person walks around with $1,000 phone in their fucking pocket that they don't know how to use. The average person, where's my phone at? Damn, where is my phone at? Oh, it's under this damn. The average person doesn't realize that this is the most access any random human has ever had to technology in the last 100 years. 100 years ago, in order for somebody to have this much computing technology, they would have had to been the richest person in the world. This phone probably has like what, 16 gigabytes? I mean, not 16 gigabytes. Probably has what, 8 gigabytes of RAM? You know how much 8 gigabytes of RAM cost 10 years ago? 10 years ago, if you had 8 gigabytes of RAM, nigga, you was a motherfucking G. You was rich. Right now, 8 gigabytes of RAM is like, your computer only has 8 gigabytes. Ha! Nigga, you're poor. Now, the standard of RAM right now is 8 gigabytes for a low-end system. A low-end system that you buy for $200-300 off of Amazon, 8 gigabytes. You, with a phone, you can do what somebody would have had to wait. Somebody to do research in prior generations, you would have had to get up and physically go to a library. Now, people who go to libraries understand why being able to do this, to instantly research anything they want to research within a moment's notice, is monumental and is crazy. But let me explain how many more steps it is to Google something than to go to a library. To go to a library, you have to hope that the information has been written down and put in a book. Come here. No. No. You are not doing that. Come here. Thank you. If you wanted to get information in the library, you had to, number one, hope that the specific bit of information was important enough, or perceived to be important enough, for somebody who has the ability to make a book popular enough to get in a library, hopefully a library near you, lower, and the chances of that book being in a library near you lower, the smaller and the less amount of budget your library has. So before you even get up and do all the steps of going to the library and finding the book has to exist. Keep in mind, on the internet, everything updates instantaneously. If you're lucky and this shit is an encyclopedia or in an encyclopedia series, you may have to wait 365 for the next edition of these books to get updated and for the information to get put in there. So you could have information that's up to 12 months. Shit, if you were broke, 24 months behind. Worst case scenario, what are you doing? Worst case scenario, 48 months or more behind old information, right? So there's that. Hopefully it exists, but let's say this information perfectly does exist, right? You have to wait till the library is open. You have to understand the Dewey Decimal System, or you have to bother the library. You have to wait till the library is open. You have to get up, you have to go to the library. You have to either have or get a library card, which, depending on where you live, may be free or may have cost something. Now, as far as New York and America in general goes, now it's a bit more standardized, and like library cards are like almost always free. But if it's a private or independent library, you're gonna pay for that library card. So not only that, you still have to get the book, and you still have to read the book to find out if the information is in there. Now, I said assuming that it's in there, and the first book that you get, the information you want to find, assuming that it's in the first book that you get, you're lucky. But reality is, it's probably not going to be in the first book that you pick up. And even if it is, it may not be in great enough detail for what you want to do or what you want to research. So you may have to read a couple books on a topic fully all the way through, or even if you read blurbs and snippets, you still got to pick up another book to try and find out some more information. And you may have to go down a rabbit hole to find exactly what you want to do. And you may have to go to some more external resources, such as experts in the topic / in the subject. Versus nowadays, if I want to know a simple piece of information, I now have access to Google, what would have took or research something that it would have took me a month to find out back then. So I really want y'all to keep in mind and understand how much power the average person has in their phone in their pocket that they don't even know how to use. Most people don't know how to properly keyword switch and tag, keyword switch and I forgot what's the term, but it's something. It's not tag optimization. But for lack of better words, even though this is the slightly incorrect term, optimize their tags for their search. Oh, search optimization, not search engine optimization. SEO, that's something different. Search optimization is on the user side, you being able to switch out keywords and switch out the way you phrase things so that you may be able to better find what you're looking for. Most people don't know how to do simple things such as that. I really want you to understand, how much power people have in their pocket that they have no clue how to use. No clue. None at all. None at all. So understand me when I say a lot of people overestimate or misinterpret the way that this technology can be used. That will always be the truth. And people who are in the know, like he said, will always find it kind of humorous. Because I even find it funny. That's why I phrase it the way I do. Niggas walk around with a computer in their pocket that's worth $1,000 that they don't know how to use. Imagine if you had to sit down and spend $10,000 to get a phone. I'm pretty sure there's no feature in that phone that you wouldn't know how to use. It's crazy to me that you would spend even a tenth of that and still not take time to learn how to use your phone. I don't get it. I just don't believe in wasting money. But I also have a natural knack and curiosity for technology, so there's also that. I do see its applications in certain places for certain things, but it's just a tool. It's not a savior. It's a tool in the way that Excel is a tool. Because yeah, at one time, people thought the program Microsoft Excel was gonna make accounting an obsolete industry. There's people still going to school today. There's still accountants that have been accountants today that weren't even born in, let's say, 1987. Okay? So always keep in mind, whenever a new technology comes out, people will always overestimate it. And I wish I had that damn Pirate Software clip where he was talking about how a lot of technology, like a lot of technological dreams, is based on what people hope technology can do. Like, for example, people have been waiting on flying cars for 40 years. My father's generation, he was born in the 70s. I'm not gonna say the exact year because that's fucking weird, but he was born in the 70s. His generation has been waiting through the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, and the 2010s. 4 decades, at least, for cars to fucking fly. And I have been born and turned into an adult in the time, and half the time he's been waiting. And cars still can't fucking fly. People are still don't even barely know how to make hoverboards that truly defy gravity and hover. So technology, like, assumptions are always based on breakthroughs, and breakthroughs are not a reliable source of hope. Layden began working for Sony in 1987, blah, 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 blah. Served as the chairman from 2014 to 19. He's worked at Tencent since 2022. His comments are perhaps best reflected in games like Hi-Fi Rush, a unique creative concept that was certainly a risk, but also a success, even though they got fired for Tango Gameworks. I agree with what bro is saying. I really agree with what he's saying, and oh my god, I wish so many more studios would just understand that. And we got another quote by the same person. We've done these things for 30 years, he replied. Every generation those costs went up and we realigned with it. We reached a... What the fuck is that? Search.
Precipice.
Precipice, what does that mean? A very steep rock face or cliff, especially a tall one. Yeah, more definitions, please. So we've reached a very steep cliff that we can't overcome, I guess. I don't really know what the fuck precipice means, but we've reached the precipice now where the center can't hold, or the centre, I'm not sure. We cannot continue to do things that we have done before, which is a fact. And what he's saying is basically what has kept Nintendo successful. Nintendo has the worst specs out of every console, yet it outsells all of them. Why? The Wii is one of the best-selling consoles of all time. When the Wii came out, it was severely underpowered, and that's why it lacked third-party support. The NES, the SNES, terrible third-party support. They were weaker than the Sega Genesis and the Sega... Because I remember Genesis, Saturn. What was in between that? Whatever was between the Genesis and the Saturn, those two consoles, actually three, were more feature-rich and were stronger than the NES, SNES, all that. But Nintendo still won those generations. Why? Because they're more innovative. They're more innovative. And even if you look at, well, actually not, a PS3 technically didn't fail. But Layden said he believed it was time for a real hard reset on the industry's current business model, even a hard reset on what it is to be a video game. It's not 80 hours, it's not 90 hours, but if it is, that's a whole different category, which is another thing I've been saying forever. Stop making these 2 billion hour games. If your game is 10 hours long, don't add another 30 hours of shit in the game just so it can feel long enough, just so it can feel like it's worth $70. If a nigga likes your game, they gonna play your fucking game. Okay? If they like your game, they're going to play it. And they're going to recommend it to all of their friends until their friends play it. And when their friends put their hands on a game and realize, oh, this is amazing. This is fantastic. They're going to spread the word until the same thing happens over and over. The first thing you always have to do is make a good game. He added the effectiveness of chasing more powerful hardware had plateaued. That's a fact. The PS4 and the PS5, the jump in specs between the PS4 and the PS5 is a bit skewed because a lot of these developers have to make weaker versions of their games because a lot of them are scared to not put their games on a PS4. Because in previous generations, a year after consoles came out, you were lucky if something released on a previous gen. We're 4 years into the PlayStation 5 being released, and there's still shit releasing on the PS4. Developers, stop it. I understand it's a business at the end of the day, but it's like, bro, sometimes you have to realize the customer's a fucking idiot and ignore them and cater to the people who will give you money. Cause it's like, bro, at what cost why are you lowering the quality of the experience just to fit it on a shitty console? Now, when the PlayStation came out, it was a good console. It was a decent console. It was properly spec'd for the time it came out. But bro, it came out in 2013. That's over 10 years ago. Why are y'all still making games for a 10-year-old piece of console? 10-year-old console. Stop making games for the PS4. Let's make some more PS5 exclusive, some more PC exclusive games, and push the fucking hardware and push the generation forward. We're at the stage of hardware development that I call only dogs can hear the difference. He continued. Yes. You ask the average person, what's the difference between the PS5 and the PS4? The average person can only say one got a 4, one got a 5. The controller is the same shit. It just feels a little bit different. It's the same shit, different color font. Not even a different controller. Not even fucking very great changes, it's just slightly different. But people like me who are more understanding, who have like a better understanding of the technical side, I can break down to you that the PS5 is significantly more powerful than the PS4. But as I said a few minutes ago, PS5 owners have to take the hit on that, having a more current gen, next gen feeling experience, because they're still making PS5 games for the last console. This is the first generation where I've ever seen niggas make a PS5 game and then turn it into a PS4 game, or have to force the specs down so that I can run on the PS4. No, I'm not saying PS4, PS4. If you're playing a game and sunlight is coming through your window onto your TV, you're not seeing any ray tracing. True. It has to be super ops. Ray tracing in general is just a shit feature so far, because like most of what happens with ray tracing isn't even significant. Like, I'm a person who knows what ray tracing is, and I have the ability to notice it. And I'm not gonna lie, any game I see ray tracing on in, not only because of the performance, but because of like the care for my experience in terms of like immersion, I'm gonna turn it down. I have never played a game and looked in a puddle and said, I can't see my reflection in the puddle, and unplugged my console and threw it out the window out of anger because this game fucking sucks. No. If your game doesn't have ray tracing and it's a good game, you'll live, nigga. Think about, like I always point to that time that Sakurai made all the audio in his game, purposely didn't put digital Dolby audio, which was at the time like, that was like saying your audio is as crisp as can be and your audio is fucking fire. He didn't put Dolby audio in the game so players wouldn't have to sit through another fucking screen. A lot of these studios care too much about profit and not enough about the player's experience. Because if the player has a good experience on your game, as I said for the 10 millionth time, you will make profit. Oh yeah, also, most people can't notice the difference between 4K, 1080p, and 720. Most people can see a frame drop, just a couple frames, like 5 frames, 1 frame drop on their console, and not even notice it. I, on the other hand, can. His comments come ahead of Sony's new PS5 Pro console, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I agree with him. He's one of those executives that know what the fuck he's talking about, because there's some executives and bigwigs in these companies that just don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They just try